Hello, Kelly. How are you doing?
Hi, Lalita. I'm good. Thank you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you too. So today, as part of empowering women through career transitions, or empowering anyone actually through career transitions and transitions that we are undergoing right now as we speak, I'm in conversation with Kelly Liew. Kelly, from being a marketing manager, moved on to being a director of the global buying office for Tupperware, and then she became the VP of Commercial and Procurement Services, after which she left the corporate world to become a counselor. So she had to, in becoming a counselor, unlearn and relearn many things and upskill herself to do what she does today. Kelly, thank you so much for giving your time to have this conversation on the transition journey with me. Shall we begin?
I'm ready, Lalita. Thank you.
So what key career transitions have you gone through to date?
Well, I think I've gone through many career transitions ever since I started working, and I actually started working very young at the age of 7 years old. I was a child labor. In general, I think life is constantly in transition, and we go through transition throughout our life journey. Indeed. But as for our career life is a huge part of our life journey. And I've had many exciting careers and been through many meaningful, fulfilling achievements and transition experiences as well. But I'd like to highlight just 3 key ones. The first being the capacity of being in a cross-function, different functions, role and roles in my career life. Having been through sales role, and then marketing role, business development role, product development role, supply chain management role, and into training as a trainer as well in my last corporate life. So that's transitioning from one function to another over the years and over different companies. And then the second one I would like to highlight would be transitioning across different industry. So my first job was as an adult in the corporate sector. I was in the fast moving consumer goods business in SOT Dymo, an office products company. And then I transitioned into a direct selling company with Tupperware Incorporation. And after that, I transitioned into the marketing communication industry with WPP Group. So as you can see, these are very huge transition. The experience are different, the knowledge are different. So it's been exciting. And a third transition that I'd like to highlight is transitioning myself from a corporate person, a corporate leader, to an effective support role, which I went back to school to earn myself another master in counseling and became a counselor. So I'm now a practicing counselor in the mental health care sector. That is another industry again. But being a corporate person and to have gone back to school and coming back to work in a very different capacity, no longer in the corporate shoes. And I think that is also a huge transition in my career life. So these are the 3 key ones.
Yeah. Now, what in the transition first in roles that you did, right, including what you're doing today, transitioning in industries, I'll come to the third one a little later. What were some of the challenges that you faced?
The key challenges. I've done some notes here. Key challenges. Key challenges from my first corporate life, or could you repeat
within the corporate life when you moved roles and when you moved industries?
Okay. I think the in my corporate life, in moving, transitioning from role to role and across the industry, but probably the first challenge would be the concern about fitting into a new corporate culture. So I think in general, many of us would probably have this concern or challenge, and it is been proven. This is a huge challenge when we move from one industry to another, because there's so many unknown that we are going to be facing, and it creates anxieties, and the stress levels are very high. So, so corporate culture, ability to fit into a new corporate culture is a huge concern here. The second concern, I would think, my second challenge, I would say, having the thought of fitting into the new political landscape of another organization, or a different role, a different capacity, or could be in another organization. I think the political landscape, which we all cannot avoid in the corporate environment, so we call them corporate politics. So we're all totally exposed to it, and moving to a different industry or different company, it is a huge challenge. So basically, we're going into something that we do not know. We could only guess, we can only research so much, but in reality, when we step into a new organization, we have to live in it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And when, with the different corporate culture, with the different politics of the different industries, different companies that you were in, were there moments, especially in your initial part of the role in the new company and new industry, did you ever feel a high amount of pressure to prove yourself? Yes, you were interviewed, you got to the interview, you got selected for the job because of all the credentials you had and how you proved yourself in the interview. And yet, when you entered the job and started doing the job, were there moments when you felt a huge pressure to prove that you were the right person, to prove to people that you are capable? Were there moments?
Yeah, I think for certain levels and above, leadership and senior roles, senior executive roles, the pressure is always on, and we have such thing called the first 100 days. So that means you either make it or break it, the first 100 days, where you're supposed to come in with plans, what you're going to be doing for the first 100 days in a new environment. And then within the first 100 days, obviously, part of the package would be setting up your next 12 months KPIs with your supervisor or your peers, and so forth. So those comes in a package. Usually, the challenge in implementing or actually executing this would have started before you actually enter the organization, because of the planning process and the thoughts of how you're going to fit in, the thought of how you're going to be successful, how you're going to be achieving, what sort of people you're going to be encountering. So yes, all these pressures have started before I entered in different organization. So have I answered your question?
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Now coming to your third transition, which is leaving the corporate world and then doing your master's and then becoming a counselor, and you are a counselor today. You have your own set of clients. How was that journey in terms of, in the corporate world, you have the infrastructure. You have an IT department, you have an operations department, and you have the different departments on which you rely on as part of the entire food chain through which a company services its customers. A lot of that infrastructure goes away when you start working on your own as a solopreneur or as an entrepreneur? And second, also in terms of a business card, which in a lot of the Asian cultures is so important. What does your business card tell about you, right? Director, VP, managing director. When you work on your own, you don't have any of those titles. So how was that journey like initially for you, quitting the corporate world, moving into this entrepreneur role or counselor role?
All right. I think what I've done, I did not plan in my life to become a counselor as what I'm doing now, but towards the last part of my corporate life at WPP, I did have some kind of plan so that I can transition into. So I actually started in that company itself, doing an additional role as a coach, as an executive coach, in-house executive coach, working with people who like to come forward and say, I'd like you to help me and support me in terms of what I'd like to achieve or where do I want to go in this organization or my personal development plan. So I've started doing that role in-house role at WPP. So when I left WPP, I have continued my career life as a life coach and an executive coach in a freelance way, not full time, because I was still searching on what I wanted to do in my life next. So so that was the time where I have started actually transitioning myself into a consultant role. And then in the process, I decided I wanted to do some in-depth study and to continue growing myself. That's when I went to study counseling. And so when I graduated, I went into practice. And up to now, I'm actually doing both roles as a counselor and a coach. So I have counseling clients and I have coaching clients at the same time. And sometimes both skills are very interrelated, and both skills are highly useful for certain clients of mine, where they do not fall into one of the categories, either counseling or coaching work requirements. Sometimes some of the clients, they need both skills of mine. So therefore, it gives them even better opportunity to work and with me, and because they are in different situations. So so that has taken care of part of what I was transitioning into from my corporate life into a mental health care now, and as a life coach or executive coach now. So yes, has been challenging, but I think transitioning from a corporate setting into I'm attached part-time now with St. John's Counseling Center as part of St. John's Church Cathedral. So it's a charity organization. I think moving from a corporate scene into a charity organization, which is part of a huge church alliance. Again, I was walking into something unknown, and I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what was expected out of me. So I think the good thing is in the mental health care sector, we are helpers. We are there to help. So whatever we are there to do, and do our best to support individuals, to help them overcome their life issues. I think that's the key goal. And it doesn't matter how we approach it with individual style, but with the same principles and values that we have been educated, and we practice it. And most important is becoming a very effective helper, a very effective supporter. And when my clients need more than counseling or therapies support from me, sometimes because they're corporate clients, corporate individuals, they need more corporate work involved. That's where I put on additional hat, my coaching hat, to work with them at the same time. So so it's a wonderful transition. I cannot, and I do not know how to describe how did I do this or why did I do this? It just came to me, and I went for it, and I kept going, and it has been going really well. So I'm very happy in all these transitions.
That is very, very good to hear. So that leads on to my next question, which is, you did mention I didn't transition into a counselor just like that. I'd already stepped into the role of a coach. So it looks like there was to some degree, there was some mental preparation.
As a coach, but as a counselor, there was no preparation at all, because I suddenly, searched for something, and then I found something that I thought this is going to be great for me, and I went to study, basically.
It also, to me, what I'm hearing when I'm hearing your conversation, what is coming across to me is you having an open mind, because in any transition, we step into the unknown, and there is always some uncertainty, because we probably cannot know each and everything about the organization or about the work and about the role that we are going to play. Mm-hmm. So it looks like you also had an open mind. So my question to you is, what would you consider as enablers, or what resources can be external and your own internal resources? And I would say open mind was maybe one of your internal resources. What resources were enabled you to make through these transitions, and transitions that you have been very fulfilled with?
Okay, now I would again separate these resources into 3 levels: internal, external, and personal.
All right.
Yeah, involving myself.
Sure.
Let's begin with external. I think externally I have great support from people whom I've met in my work life. I call them my sponsors and my mentors at work, and most of them were not my direct bosses. Yeah, in fact, some of my direct bosses have not been really supportive.
Okay. All right.
But I have got great internal support from people in the organization, very senior, very visible people, the CEOs, global head of something, few of them, which has been great story for me. And they're all male figures. I've not in my career life had a female sponsor or mentor, because in my corporate time there were hardly many female at that level. So I'm very happy to say all my mentors and sponsors in my work life have always been male figures. And these have been my great supporters internally in the organization. And I must tell you, until today, I'm no longer in a corporate life for many years. I still have a mentor. And again, it's another man, very experienced businessman, and used to be in corporate sector before, currently running his own public listed company in Hong Kong. So I've always been very very fortunate, and I'm very grateful that my life has been given many wonderful, intelligent, supportive people in my work life, and that's been something fantastic. So I call them internal resources. And my another great internal resources are my colleagues. I call them my partners at work, and my downline, my team, and also my internal clients. So when we work well with them, they become your resources. Externally, I think I've worked very well with external clients in some of my roles, and I've also worked very well with my suppliers because I was also in a supply chain role before. So I do treat them as my partners, my business partners, rather than you are the supplier, I'm the buyer. So that barrier was taken down in my time, and that changed a lot of very difficult working relationship with suppliers before. So, we've made them a business partner where they really appreciate that they have been valued differently. So I think that is also very important resource. I call them external resource because they're not part of our payroll or in our organization, but they are part of our business, a big part of our business. And at the personal level, I think being smart and being intelligent are very important. I would like to say I am intelligent, and being very attentive and staying focused is a very, very important. Eye on the ball, always, and have your presence felt in a very positive way in whichever organization you are, wherever you work, and stay visible. And these are very important words that I like to encourage every person who would like to know how to go about things sometimes. Eye on the ball, have your presence felt, and be visible and stay visible. So, and never taken for granted, whether you're a woman or man. So these are the important things at a personal level that I would like to raise as the resources, okay?
And in all the transitions that you've had, and you said for you, the staying focused, eye on the ball are very, very important. If you, on hindsight, or we're looking back at all of your transitions, what is your feeling? Or what do you think, what do you tell yourself of the transitions that you have made? What does Kelly tell herself about the transitions you have made? Any words of wisdom?
I would say embrace transitions. Transitions are great. We do not embrace and do not transition in a positive way and do not look forward to it, then transitions become very fearful. Transition becomes something that, we do not want to go near because we don't know what's going to happen. But who knows what's happening tomorrow? Nobody knows. So why are we having fear about any kind of transition, be it in the work life, be in our life? We go through transition all the time. Our life is a journey full of transitions. So have this in mind, whether at work or personal life, at home, as a mother, as a daughter, as a father, as life in general is full of transition. The moment we were born until we say goodbye to this world. Embrace transition, look forward to it, and plan and be part of the transition actively and positively, and you will have a great ride in life.
Fantastic. And I can feel it whenever I've met you, Kelly, in person, face to face, as well as I feel it right now. Before we conclude, right now, what we are going through, COVID and the consequences from COVID, we're all going through transitions. And this has been very tough, especially for some people. I guess it's been tough for everyone. And for some of us, it's been tougher than for others. Would you like to add in as words of encouragement, as words of empowerment to people? What would you like to add, if any, on transition?
I think we are all again on a very huge world stage, being stuck in this COVID-19 situation, and many of us can be very unfortunate. Many of us can be fortunate with whatever outcome. But what is happening, what we're facing now, we are seeing lots of people having lost their jobs, taking a huge pay cut. And in most organizations, that means people at work, organizations are not able to advise on what's next because nobody knows what's next. It's so different from the past where organizations can plan for 12 years plan, 12 months plan, 18 months plan, budgets and all this. Now all these seem to be almost impossible and has to be planned in a very short term currently. And unfortunately, we all have to face a lot of different kind of losses that is happening in the world now. My takeaway would be, if I were to say anything about transition for this situation now, is grab every opportunity that comes along that that we may have. Do not be afraid, do not be fearful, because tomorrow, when all these all these problems are gone, we will be facing a new tomorrow where we have no precedents to follow. So, and most of us will be dealing with new situation, new role, a new structure. So instead of having fear about these changes and into transition us into the next stage, embrace them, take the challenge, be bold, because we're all going to have a new world, new tomorrow. That is, no longer what we've seen like in the past. So it is going to be a new economy, new world. So embrace it. I think that's the word that I would use, embrace it.
Okay. So there you go. I was in conversation with Kelly Liew, and her words of advice or invitation or suggestion to any transition is embrace the change, keep an open mind, grab opportunities, and really believe that you are ready for it, no matter how unknown and how uncertain it may be. Kelly, thank you so much for your time. And it was lovely being in conversation with you.
Thank you, Lalita. Thank you.